Chapter 3. Attacked by the Gremlins. The winter's night was fast drawing in by the time he got there. The classrooms and corridors were deserted, and there was a stillness about the place that made him rather nervous. Hurriedly, he made his way to the lab. The sight that met him there was terrifying. The pod was cracked open, and Mr. Hanson lay on the floor, quite still, in a pool of blood. There was a faint scratching sound. Billy froze. Where was it? Slowly, carefully, he reached across the desk for the telephone. Something moved in the shadows, and a claw slashed out at his hand. The boy fell backwards and stared in horror at the scaly, monstrous-looking creature. Billy looked around for a weapon to defend himself, but his thoughts were elsewhere. His mother was at home with 5 of these pods upstairs. Splat! The largest cocoon cracked open, and Stripe emerged utterly transformed. No longer soft and furry, he was covered with hideous scales. He grinned and showed a set of razor-sharp teeth. He stretched out a long arm and flexed a fist of giant claws. Now there was no doubting the evil glint in his sinister red eyes. He was no longer a mogwai, but a gremlin, bent on destruction. Around him, the other cocoons were starting to crack open. Billy had reached the phone. He dialed furiously. "Mum?" "Hello, Billy. Mum, get out of there. The cocoons have just hatched into monsters. One of them just escaped here at school. You're in danger." The line went dead. Mrs. Peltzer swung round. Suddenly there were gremlins everywhere in the kitchen, hurling dishes, pots and pans at her, and gorging anything that took their fancy. She backed against the wall as plates crashed around her. Furiously, she seized a knife and slashed the nearest gremlin. One of them went after the mixture in the food processor. Mrs. Peltzer saw her chance and leapt for the button. With a loud whirr, the machine caught up the gremlin and sucked it in. "I teach you to mess up my kitchen," she muttered. Grabbing an aerosol, she sprayed another gremlin until it backed towards the microwave. Bang! She slammed the door and turned the oven full on. Billy arrived home to find his mother tangled in the wreckage of the family Christmas tree, desperately fighting off one of the gremlins. He grabbed the sword that hung on the wall and chopped off the green monster's head. But the gremlins weren't finished yet. Stripe was still lurking in the living room. He leapt out of his hiding place, hurled himself through the window, and scurried off into the night. With his mother safe at a neighbor's house, Billy set out to track Stripe. He popped Gizmo in a knapsack and took him along. Snow lay thick on the ground, and from here and there he could hear the sound of carol singing. Thank goodness frozen water doesn't seem to have any effect on them, he thought. He followed Stripe's footprints down a side street. The gym! Oh no, there's a swimming pool in there. If Stripe gets wet, he'll multiply. There'll be hundreds of monsters like him. Billy began to run through the gym and headed for the box that held the light switches. But Stripe was too clever for him. As Billy flipped up the lid, the gremlin leapt out of the box at him and raced towards the pool. Billy was just in time to hear the splash. Within seconds, the water was frothing and churning. It turned a virulent green, and from the depths came a rumble that grew louder and louder. The creature was multiplying. For a moment, Billy froze in horror. Then he grabbed Gizmo and ran for his life.